This
Get us.
conference will now be recorded.
Where you at, man?
The office. Where else? Cranking away. Putting my time in, man.
Spending your time here, keeping your hair down?
Just trying to. Yeah.
Look at you.
Stay, stay afloat during these crazy times.
It is crazy. It definitely is crazy.
Where are you at?
I'm in the office right on Mass Street.
Right on, man. I gotta come see your fancy office.
It's not that fancy, man. This little old thing. But it's
Looks like
not
there's
fancy.
probably a fireplace in there.
It's not a fireplace, man. You got,
Cocktail lounge.
it's nothing fancy, Nothing for you to be concerned about. But you're always welcome. After this pandemic, you're welcome, that is.
Right
So,
on.
I'm sure you ain't been playing anywhere. I mean, Rock Chalk is closed, isn't it?
So my girls both were signed up, ready to play this year, eighth grade and fifth grade, and they both got put on hold. So during that time, we put a hoop in the backyard. So
Did you really?
that's where we're hooping.
You don't want to call nobody, huh? That's what we're doing. We're being selfish. Okay,
Well,
I get it.
there's a disclaimer. There's only room for a couple of us. It's not real big.
Hey, I don't need much room to shoot, man. As soon as I step in, I'm shooting.
You can shoot from the neighbor's yard. I know.
That's right. That's right. Um, well, man, I appreciate you doing this, man. For whatever reason, I guess we never talked about this as many times as we played. I know you played at the University of St. Mary.
Well, I'm probably your lowest profile
You said
clientele
Louis.
you've had on here, so tread lightly.
No, man. In all seriousness, it all matters. Every story to me, every story matters because you still have to navigate through the process of balancing class, balancing any type of understanding of financial literacy. So, regardless, I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate you letting me on, and more importantly, appreciate what you're doing for student athletes. This is awesome. You inspire me.
Stop it, man.
I
Stop.
wish you were in college.
You say what?
Said I wish I knew you while I was in college. You could have been
You
doing
know,
this.
I, yeah. So I wish same thing. There was something like this, or at least some type of exposure earlier than later. But it is what it is, I guess. So anyway, let me get my little intro because I have to do my intro, man. So hey guys, what's going on? This is Pat Brown. I'm a financial advisor in Lawrence, Kansas. Um, Played football at the University of Kansas a number of years ago, and met a lot of great people there, and became very, very passionate about financial literacy for student athletes. And during that process, I've started this, essentially interviewing former student athletes with the hopes that current student athletes can learn the successes and failures of those that went before them. The thought is, or the hope is, that they will develop these habits a lot sooner than later by listening to our stories. So hopefully, we got some guys listening to this particular video as well. Um, I also just want to go ahead and give the definition of financial literacy, which is the possession of a set of skills and knowledge that allows an individual to make informed and effective decisions with all their financial resources. And the reason I always kind of start with that is because I'm under the impression a lot of student athletes think that literacy means that they're not the brightest or the smartest or anything like that. So I really liken it to being able to go to practice, learn, obviously in your case, learn how to shoot over repetition, over and over and over. You create those little habits that obviously make you a better shooter. In my case, obviously, I need more reps to become a better player. So I think we already have, as student athletes, already have those abilities on the sports side. Why not, put it on the other side as well with regards to financial literacy? So anyway, we got my man Josh Woods from the University of St. Mary. I know Josh for quite some time. We played pickup ball together, and I was telling him earlier that I just didn't realize he would play ball, back in the day. And so it's great that he's with us and, wants to share a story. So thank you for that. I guess right out the gate, man, you know, freshman, sophomore year, did your parents ever talk to you about financial literacy, whether it's credit, whether it's budgeting, whether it's savings?
I'd say probably prior to college, there wasn't a whole lot of understanding about credit, budgets, savings. Going into college, I mean, it was up in the air whether I was even going to go to college.
No.
And if it weren't for, of course, my parents' encouragement, this is the good next step for you. I was the first one in my family to graduate college. So there wasn't a whole lot other than basketball for me in terms of why I would go to college. I was just kind of I don't want to say directionless, but just kind of ready. I grew up on a farm, and so it was kind of maybe work life is just for me right out of high school.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful that basketball was an opportunity for me. It totally changed my life and gave me opportunities that I would have never had. So going to college, I didn't have a whole lot of understanding. I did work pretty hard in the summertime for family on the farm and whatnot. So I was able to save enough money to be able to buy my own first car so that I could go to college and have a vehicle. And when I went to college, I was like, man, most of those guys on the team, they didn't have cars. So I was like, wow, I feel really fortunate about this, right? And of course,
Yeah.
that was a loan. I had to take a loan out, and when you're in college, you don't have any revenue, so how am I going to pay for that car? So I was literally on a 3-month note for 3 years. And so the local banker I used was a good family friend, so I was able to work a deal where I worked all summer long for June, July, August, and that was enough to make the payments that I had on that car for the whole year. So that tells you what kind of car it was. It was
Right.
it was more of a hoopty than a Benz, but it was something that I was fortunate to have. But that was really my first exposure to any kind of credit or even bank account or checking. There was absolutely no savings, right? The only savings was work all summer long, whatever you have at the end, put it towards a car.
Yeah.
So then I go to college, and there was no concept of budgets or money, or I was just trying to figure out how is it that I'm able to even afford this, right? The school paid for part of my tuition.
Yeah.
Basketball paid for a little bit of it, and then there were student loans as well. So that was another brief exposure to credit.
Mhm.
But I didn't really have that great understanding of the cost of credit and what it means in the long run, and the importance of paying it back.
Yeah. Right.
At the time I thought, maybe this is just optional, and that's a horrible way to start. So
Optional. I don't got to
yeah,
pay it back.
I knew it wasn't optional, but
Yeah.
just I didn't know where, I didn't know if at the end I would have what I needed to be able to pay it back. And so that was really kind of my experience going into college in terms of financial literacy. Um,
Gotcha.
there wasn't a lot of teachings in high school and middle school about, those specific things. It was more business accounting.
Yeah. No, in my high school as well, I mean, we just never had anything remotely close to that. It's not as if we're taught real life, stuff dealing with credit, but they may teach you, what a checking account is if you're lucky. But again, they never talk about the long term of things as far as credit or anything of that nature. Um, so I guess moving through college was a kind of trial and error as far as, decisions that you made. So once you got your car, I mean, were there other things that just trial and error, or is it just the car, the main thing that kind of got you abreast of what's going on?
Yeah, It was, call mom and dad when the bank account was, and there wasn't a lot there either, but they did everything they could to support me. Um, so really the car lesson was one of the first things. I did going back one decision that I did make before I went to college. I had a motorcycle. It's a crazy for an 18-year-old high schooler.
Well, you living dangerous, huh? Evil Knievel.
Yeah, it was one of those things. My brother needed to offload it, so I did some work and picked up a motorcycle. And I can't go to college with a motorcycle. It's just not feasible. So
Right.
I sold it and bought a computer, which was one of the best decisions that I made. Very much looking back, as a very mature decision at the time.
No kidding.
It just, I don't know where that came from. I just didn't want to go to college and not have a computer. And again, it was like showing up with a car in college. It was like nobody else had computers. And then I thought, why did I put this money into a computer? I can use all the university's computers. But
Yeah.
so those were really my first exposures to
Okay.
expenditure.
So then, um, it's kind of tail ends with this next question, but what would you say is your worst financial decision you made in college, and what was your best? It kind of sounds like that computer is one of the better decisions.
The computer was definitely probably my best decision. It forced me to hang out late at night on AOL Instant Messenger. Uh, no, really, it gave me more avenue to accomplish what I needed to accomplish in college. Having that in my dorm room and at my residence, where several of us stayed later in our college time. But as far as worst, when you have a car, the next best thing you have to have is a stereo. You,
Absolutely.
you got to have a loud bumping stereo, and that I needed one of those too. So the very next summer, I worked a little bit harder, a little bit more, made a little bit more money than the prior summer. So I couldn't just save that money. I couldn't just, put it into any kind of investment. So I invested in a big stereo system for my car, and
There you go.
that was a terrible decision, but it was cool at the time.
Josh Wood just bumping, huh? Okay. I can see it. I can see it. I can see it.
Well, when you have to carry the rest of the basketball team around town because they don't
Uh,
have cars, like there's pressure there, right? So
Peer pressure. That's right.
that's right.
Josh got the car. Um, so looking back on college now, do you wish you had done anything different in regards to dealing with your money at all?
Um, I wish I'd known more, right? I wish I had been educated, whether it was through the school systems or support systems or parents. Just a little more focused education on, this is the importance of this. These decisions you make today are going to impact you years down the road. They're going to kind of set the framework for how you respond to things or act on things in the future. And so had I had a little more framework and foundation from the beginning, I think that would have translated better to college, um, and making some decisions from there. But I will say that in college, I did have the opportunity to take a course called personal finance, which is the best course that I took in 6 years of college, through my undergraduate time and then my master's program. It's the only textbook that I kept. Personal finance, I didn't know anything about it. The teacher starts talking about investments, and my eyes just, I mean, I've never been as focused in a class than I
Yeah.
was then. That stuff was real. And it was something that I thought, maybe there is some opportunity to start making different decisions and changing how I handle finances right now. And that was really the message from the course, was the importance of it now and the impacts on it down the road. So um, I still have that textbook, and it's something that I try to drill into my kids all the time. the importance of financial understanding, what money means, and just the overall importance of it. It's not something that is the most important thing in our lives, but it's so important in so many aspects, and you can do a lot with a little if you have the right education and understanding.
Yeah. So when did you take that class? Did you say that was what, like towards your end, like
Um,
junior,
I'd
senior?
say I'd say I was probably a sophomore, junior time frame.
Okay.
And while I was taking it, I was like, man, I wish I had take this would have been the first class that I took. You
Yeah.
know, it's it. I still to this day don't understand why educational institutions don't require this type of training as a curriculum, as a basic standard requirement. Because no matter what you go and get your degree in, no matter what you do,
Yep.
no matter where you're at, money is always an issue. It's always something that has to be managed. And we don't spend enough time teaching kids at a young age how important that is. And then by the time you're out of college, it's like, you got to figure it out now.
Yep. Got to
And,
catch up.
yeah. And it's all about the education piece of it.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, man. Um, yeah. So the the habits that you formed in college, how they affected life after college, or have they?
Absolutely. I would say more of the habits on the um, from basketball,
Mm,
the habits you pick up from hard work and perseverance and you know mental toughness and just getting through difficult situations, I think translate really well. um,
mm.
and now that most of us are not athletic enough to continue to be a professional athlete, you have to find a way to use those same lessons
Yep.
in what I call the real world, the working world. And so every day I apply the high school, my high school coach's teachings where he drilled into us, perseverance. You got to get up when you get knocked down. You got
Yeah.
to mental toughness every single day. So that stuff has translated to, you know, not just financial literacy, but raising a family, setbacks, pushing forward every single day. Some of the best lessons, without a doubt, came from athletics, and those are still with me today.
Yeah, you can learn a lot through athletics, and certainly in military as well. Same type of structure or mindset, I should say. Um, so, what are some of the pitfalls you would hope that your story could prevent to young student athletes out there, male or female, as far as what you went through and what you wish you could have done?
Yeah, great question. I think one of the best pieces of advice I got when I was in college. I went to school, with the same dream everybody else had, right? I want to be a professional athlete. Well, I knew going in that was very highly unlikely, especially at a small university. And so I needed an advisor in college to like wake me up and say, son, that's great. Keep your dreams, keep your ambitions, keep fighting for that, but you might want to have a backup plan. So that was hard advice, and it was the best advice because I went into school not having any idea what I wanted to study or be or grow up to do. It was just basketball for me, and that was really kind of what guided me. And so I finally picked a degree path, and it was sports management, right? Sticking to the sports theme and hoping to someday own a sports franchise or something.
Right.
Big dreams. Um, and so that's when my advisor said, "Hey, I think it's wise to have a backup plan to the sports management thing, and it's easily translatable to a business degree too." So he talked me into to getting 2 degrees, which was turned out to be the best decision that I made. And so the pitfall, I guess, the lesson here is even if you have huge dreams, don't stop chasing them, but always have a backup plan ready to go. if things don't work out, if there's an injury, if there's, something tragic happens in your family and you have to take a different path. I was lucky to kind of have a good support system that really just encouraged me to do whatever I wanted to do and pursue it. Right. So I'm glad I got those additional pieces of advice, and it's helped me. Today, I'm not working in the sports management world, and that turned out to be really good advice because I had an internship with a semi-professional basketball team, the Kansas City Knights, ABA basketball, back in the day before it folded. Well, it just happened the season after I finished my internship, the team folded. So that opportunity kind of went out the door. And it's not to say that there wouldn't have been other opportunities that